read a couple of lines, and then there's to wear glasses now. Didn't have to when I went to the island. That's how long this book has been going on. So the book is actually 5 chapters, and our whole trip was about 7 days, and kind of 5 days really focused in on Sable. So this is actually a quote from Jonathan Shepherd. Sable has a really rich tapestry of history that stretches back over 4 centuries, and we're often asked about whether or not it's possible to go and see the old life-saving stations from early in the 1800s, or go back to the 16th century shipwrecks. And the truth is that none of it exists anymore. Sable's amazingly good at swallowing and consuming its history. Often buildings are either buried or toppled on Sable Island. Tony is a character in the book that kind of represents a lot of the people. It's kind of a composite character. Turns ghostly and clings for dear life. The waters were unsettled, and yet we glided over this vast turbulence of life. As we approached the shore, the deep navy hues of open water gradually shifted, light diminishing with every moment deeper. The deeper we submerge, the harder it is for light to cascade. But we are far from the turquoise calmness of the Caribbean of serene southern seas. These waters have at times turned a deep indigo, with the memory of countless souls sinking into their watery graves, where Arctic ice melts and drifts south. Gilles Martin Boutier, one of the guides connected to the island by family lineage, pointed to the reflection of the Skidby below the water, where it became stuck in the sandy shore in 1905. It was a very rare appearance of any of the hundreds of ships that have crashed there. As the shoreline was encroaching, heads bobbed in and out of the water, giving the illusion of a hidden realm of giants beneath the surface. As we approached, the curiosity seekers were one of many from the seal colony that were over the moon to see us. "Finally, visitors," is what I imagined they were saying, with their smiles and whiskers. Let me read a couple more. So this is actually from, which one do we pick? Okay. I'll read this one first. So this is from the chapter, The Edges Beyond the Heron. The trek over some smaller dunes leads to another area of the island. It reveals a scattering of horses in the distance who flaunt their flowing manes, bending without hesitation to the wind, creating perfect subjects for a camera lens. This area within a dune's valley is much greener, protected from the wind. Many relic plants that have disappeared from elsewhere in the world exist here. Again, the weather changes and it is hard to make out the bodies in the distance. But these 4-legged creatures are not afraid of humans, so keeping distance was mandatory. The fog clears. It was unreal. As much as I fought to thwart looking at these bold beasts, the more I was mesmerized. I forced myself to keep walking, to find higher ground, to see where the world I was. But the more I resisted, the more I was drawn to them. A stallion trying to mate, another relieving himself, a calf darting for his mother. Their manes, wild, never brushed except by the wind that circulates around them. There was no escaping. Slowly approaching a group of mares while their stallion is nearby, ready to capture that prize-winning photograph, there are about a dozen other spectators in the frame. The horses are not afraid of the fog that continues to reappear or the occasional human that creeps around. They are ready to stampede if you interfere. Despite its isolation, there's a surreal quality here, as if one has stepped onto a movie set or slipped into a dream. Tony looks on in amazement, like a dream revealed, and lies in the grass to take it all in. The more I watched, the more the barrier of distance felt to be broken. The more their space was being invaded, the sensation came and undulations until the fog made them disappear.
Beautiful.
Thank you. And I don't know, should I say the one about the do one last little read. Okay, this is about you, Brahm. So first there's a quote by Jonathan Shepard. And Jonathan Shepard is one of the park's rangers. The question of mortality is laid very clear and bare on a sandy island. It's very easy to see how Sable is connected in that way to the rest of the world. Stuff washes up on the beaches, or the research conducted on the atmospheric currents makes you realize that sometimes you have to go to the most isolated places to realize how small the world actually is. It's very easy to see how Sable Island is connected in that way to the rest of the world. Brahm halts in his tracks, places the equipment down, and beaches himself on the sand. He's captivated by the family of horses that have been trotting along the beach, seals trailing behind them. It's as if he is watching a scene on live television. In this moment, he is utterly alone. There is no one else around. It is a singular moment, unique and unlikely to ever repeat itself. The horses saunter up the nearby dune and glance back momentarily before they begin to canter. It's unclear if they are merely annoyed or checking for signs of an impending territorial confrontation. Lost in thought, in one's own dream, an embrace of the moment, words are of no dominion. Okay.